All right. Coming to you from Alameda. I would say sunny, but it's kind of sunny. Give it up for Ralph, Zig, Tycho, and Zig in the zone.
Hey, how are you, Paulie? It is kind of sunny. Did you bring that with you?
Yeah, and I noticed the smoke on your logo kind of looks like the other part of the sky. A little bit of sun, a little bit of haze, a little bit of craziness going on out there.
It is a crazy fall. Let's put it that way.
So how are you doing, my man? How are you doing? Sitting in San Francisco. It's cold and drizzly. How are you doing on the other side of the bay?
It really is going to be a nice day today. Let's put it that way. And I'll tell you why I'm doing especially well. We have two integral parts of Comfortably Zoned with us, Eric Gray and Frank Giancakis. And Frank, I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I never have. But I'm trying. He knows that.
Can we just go with Frankie G?
Well, I just want to say Frank is getting off the disabled list. And we are so happy to have you back and on the mend. Frank, welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. It's good to be back, and that's one less thing to worry about, the big C. So,
Absolutely. Not that we don't all worry about it on every 10 minutes as it is. Right. You got over it, and you have a clear bill of health.
Clear bill of health, sir. Yes. I used one of my Get Lucky cards. So, that's one less thing to worry about.
Beautiful. And Eric, you are on a constant book tour of your life. Tell me about that, how it's going.
It's ups and downs, a lot of, when I talk about a book tour, I mean, it's not really so much a book tour. We go visit people in places that we have good friends, and we gather people together, and doing a bunch of stuff locally as well. I think the touring days are coming to a close, but anybody out there who wants to help set up a talk where you live, if it's someplace I can get to, I'm there.
Oh, beautiful. And it becomes more than the book. It becomes an interaction with people.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said before, the friends that Lynn and I have made through this talk, and my son says, "Friends, Dad, or Facebook friends?" I say, I'm not an idiot. I know the difference. It's like when we were during the World Series, we were in New York and just went out to a bar with some really good friends who are Mets fans, and one of them, I assume some of you guys know, Perry Barber. So it just gives us an opportunity.
Facebook.
Yep, it gives us an opportunity to see friends, old and new alike. So there's definitely that social element to it.
Beautiful. You know, we're all three retired, and keeping in touch socially, getting away sometimes from the computer and seeing real people is very important, I find.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm glad I live in a town that's small enough that you could run into people on a regular basis on your daily walk, on my daily walk, as an example.
And whenever I'm there, Zig, people on their daily walks, I'm able to run over them instead of just run into them. I can run into them, but then over them, but then I back up over them. Sorry.
That's very, very nice of you this morning.
I'm having a senior moment. I'm sorry. I'm having a senior moment. This segment is brought to you from the fine people at Ensure. That's right. Ensure that you're old. All right. Here we go. Back. Sorry.
It sounded like an ad, but go ahead.
They're one of my fantasy sponsors. If we get them, me and Ralph will be able to drink until the end. And so,
and as far as I know, I don't drink, so you're going to drink double.
That's it. Well, no, you'd be able to drink this until, well, we won't go there. Anyway, let's keep it Disney,
Well,
guys.
I can drink it all in.
We'll keep it
about
Disney.
That. Okay. Let's go in order. Frank, what about the Met finish did you most enjoy?
The Mets finish?
Yeah, the way they made the playoffs, the exciting games.
They really believed in themselves. Lindor's home run. Then there was Alonso's home run. And by the way, I think he'll be back with them. I think that's going to happen. Yeah, someone's got.
I really hope so. That would be great.
Well, I think that like having him in the same batting order with the Soto will be formidable. Let's put it that way.
Oh, and Lindor, how about that? And
well, he's wonderful. He's a heck of a player, and he's a leader. Yeah, he really is. He did they have a captain? I lost track of that. I don't think they have a captain, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think that like he should be the captain of the team officially. That would be recognition of what he brings.
Can't you put in for that?
I'm sorry?
Can't you put in for that? You be the captain of the Mets.
You want me to be the captain of the Mets? Yeah, that would.
I'll tell you what.
Leadership end of it will, diminish rapidly. But
running
Frank, that would mean a 90-mile drive several times a week just to go to the games.
We'll be, I'll be on the Grand Central, Parkway every day. Yeah, that'll work. No, I, basically think that this guy Stearns seems to be pretty savvy for a young guy like that. Even like some of the signings. I mean, other than like Uncle Steve like opening up the vault, for Soto, some of the things that Stearns has done is actually rather interesting.
Well, he never gives pitchers more than a 1-year contract. I think that's a terrific idea.
Yeah, it makes for tough negotiations, but nonetheless, it's just that like they're so unpredictable as far as like all the injuries, the Tommy John surgery. I remember Tommy John was like one surgery, and now like there are guys that many guys have two. And I think there's even a third, and they came up with a variation scientifically of how to basically do the work. What they would do is take a tendon out and drill holes in your forearm and the bottom of your bicep, and basically do a stitching. I mean, I'm not exactly talking like I'm a doctor here, but what they do is the tendon winds up naturally acting like a ligament. Okay, now like they have another variation of it that they're doing, because they think that there's a reason why some guys have 2 Tommy John surgeries,
and they're having them as early as high school.
Well, yes, and that's the other thing. I mean, these kids pitch a lot. It isn't like in the old days, okay? I mean, I was like looking. I mean, Harvey Haddix threw something. I don't know the number, but it was ridiculous. He pitched that. Remember that game that he pitched that he lost 1-0 with the no hitter
to the Braves. The Braves, very iconic game. Correct.
And he threw. I think it was close to 200 pitches or something. Like it was nuts. What he wound up doing. The kids today like play in the AAU. I don't know. You guys probably know. Some of these things they pitch in high school. They just like throw their arms out, and I don't know why there isn't a movement, or maybe there is. To basically get them to like maybe take a pass on some of these leagues that they get in. I know that they want the visibility, but like there's also a trade-off. You don't want to basically wear your arm into the ground.
Hey, let me give you guys a stat. Last year, or this last year, there have been more Tommy John surgeries than all the Tommy John surgeries put together through the years.
Right.
So there has to be a correlation to what you were saying, Frank.
Yeah.
In terms of technique and this, that, and the other thing, or it becomes a selling point for the medical community to just throw surgery out there as opposed to rehab.
Yeah. Let's not underestimate that possibility.
I think it was John Smoltz who said a number of years ago, I think it was Smoltz who said one of the reasons for so many pitcher injuries is because kids are playing one sport now. They don't play 3 sports like they used to. It's like baseball all year long. So their arms, especially if you're a pitcher, don't get a chance to rest.
Well, there was a book years ago called Inner Tennis, and it revolved around staying within your body. And kids do not do that today. They go for the big bucks, which means got to throw 100, got to be 6'4", this, that, and the other thing. There's no finesse to baseball.
Yeah.
There aren't guys that like Harvey Haddix, junk ball pitchers, and I mean that with respect.
Oh, no, I know you do. I know you do.
Yeah, not just, yeah, the game has changed, life has changed,
yeah.
And
where we begin?
I just want to say, I ramble and I go from subject to subject a little bit, but it occurs to me that we each haven't talked about the Soto signing in any way, and I am, in a sense, I'm happy they have him, but I was, before when he was making a decision, I was all for putting the money into the bullpen and the pitching.
Well, yeah. I feel
So,
that way also. Yeah.
oh,
I,
really?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that the Yankees now being the loser of the contest are in an enviable position where they, if they really wanted to spend $700 million, they could really wind up rebuilding the team. And I think they need a rebuilding. I mean, the World Series really showed their frailties, and I think that like they are in an enviable position. I mean, believe me, having Soto in the lineup, I like it, but like it isn't as if I'm jumping up and down because the being in the Yankees position now was also an enviable position. I don't know what your take is on it, Eric.
Well, when you have the kind of market that New York gives you, with the money, with the advertising, with TV, this, that, and the other thing, plus the $30 hot dogs, or $20 beer, and all of that, and millionaire owners, money becomes monopoly money. And I think the fight over Soto was more not on the baseball field. It was between the Yankees and the Mets. Who's going to be top dog in the city?
Yeah.
Am I far off the line in my thinking?
No, the thing is, like, this has been going on since time immemorial in New York. They say that like they make the sound bite saying the Yankees say we don't play the Mets. Well, we playing against the American. That's not even true anymore. But like they're saying that they're just aren't in competition one on one with the Mets, and
that is totally bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You were asking about thoughts about the Mets.
Yeah.
I don't know a single Met fan who was unhappy at how the season ended. I mean, remember, this was not a year that at the beginning of the season that they were saying we're in it to compete. They were targeting 25 as the year they were going to compete.
Correct.
I mean, I question how valid that was. I question if it was valid, why they would do that. Be that as it may, that's what they said. And when the Mets came alive this year, it was incredibly exciting. And again, I was in New York through the World Series, and I was watching a lot of Met games with friends. Nobody's unhappy at how they did because they so far and away exceeded what anybody expected them to. I have a very, very close friend. She's been one of my best friends since 8th grade. And we were visiting her when we were up at New Paltz doing a talk. And she and her husband, she said, well, we're not baseball fans. That was a long time ago, she told me that. So when we were there for the one night, I wasn't going to say, hey, can we watch the game? But she said to me in advance, by the way, we are really baseball fans and we want to watch that game. And it was so much fun watching her yell and scream. This is a person who you never would have guessed would have been so into it. So that's I'm not at all disappointed. I mean, not at all. It was incredible.
I thought it was magical.
As far as Soto, I think what I have to do is I have to separate the concept of spending the kinds of money that is being spent on players like Ohtani and Soto. There's a philosophical thing about that, which, by the way, is the reason I don't like the Yankees anymore. After Mickey Mantle retired and Steinbrenner took over and changed baseball in a way that I didn't like, I stopped liking the Yankees. Now, lots of teams do that now, but he was the first. And I think you have to separate the concept of the insane amount of money that players are getting to play baseball and also the consequences of, $30 beers and all that kind of stuff from what your team is doing. It's a given that some teams, especially if you're a Mets fan or Yankees or Dodgers or Red Sox or you can name the other teams, they're going to spend that money. My reluctance about something like that is, they probably have a number of issues that need to be addressed. And, and when you spend $600 million on somebody, however much it was more than 600, right? 650, I think.
No, it was like 765 or something like that.
Okay, right. You know, you have to wonder how much are they willing to spend on addressing other issues, and can signing one megastar really improve your team as much as you need to versus going after a bunch of mid-range stars? I mean, I don't know. And I tend to be somewhat, you know, you can look at things from a baseball perspective. You can look at things from an emotional perspective. I'm somewhere in between. And, you know, losing Pete Alonso, if they do, is going to make me really sad. Is signing him to the kind of money that he probably wants feasible now after Soto? Frank, you think it is. I hope it is. I also think that he's probably demanding more money, or excuse me, Scott Boras is demanding more money,
right,
than Alonso might deserve in the real world, because this is all fantasy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
the money is there with Steve, and if he signs with the Yankees, it would make sense. I don't want him to, yet I do in a certain way, because my rooting goal is another Subway Series or 2 or 3 before I push up daisies, as my grandmother used to say. And it's getting late, teams. You better do something quick. I'd like to see the Rangers come back a little bit. I'd like to see the Knicks do well. Teams that I've wanted to do well every year since I was a kid.
It's very exciting here when the New York teams are doing well, and like when the Mets were on their, what I said before, and I say it again, a magical run at the end of the season. Like the town was pretty crazy. It was pretty wild. It was exuberant.
It was great. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, from a distance, and again, a little bit of time I spent there, it was great.
Yeah. You know,
I'll tell you when it was great in '68 and '69, when the Jets won, the Mets won, and the Knicks won. Unbelievable times.
Well, there's a book. I think Art Shamsky wrote it, and it was called, I think, that championship season or something. And it was about, I guess, all three of those teams won within 16 months of each other or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was out here at the time, and my uncle would send me New York Posts, sports sections of the Jets every week. And I kept up like hell. It was great.
If I could get back to the Soto thing just for a moment, one of the things, as much as like there were so many things that we, see in New York is like positive when the teams are winning and such. One of the things is the New York media, and I don't know if it's even all the New York media, but like let's just say that because that's where I've seen this type of thing, where they wind up having to turn everything into a soap opera. That Soto winds up signing the Mets because, like, when Cole didn't cover first base, and and Rizzo, that whole real disconnect in the fifth inning. I think that was still part of the fifth inning of Game 7. They wind up making such a big deal about it that Soto left the Yankees because of that, and he hasn't talked to any of his ex-teammates.
No, he had no idea what was going on. That wasn't had anything. He was just the money, the fame, the adulation of being the highest paid athlete ever.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of ego to that. Yeah.
And I, like, as much as I like Lindor, when I see the clips and the interviews and what have you, I don't like Soto. He has there's just something about him that I don't like. That doesn't mean that baseball wise I won't be rooting for him, but I've learned to disassociate the talent with the person. Like Alonso, I like. He, for a number of reasons, he's a humble guy, and he's got a New York Queens background. His grandfather had a story or whatever. It's only natural that he play out his career in New York.
He's a solid citizen.
Right.
He's a solid citizen. He, has been very good with the media. Okay, I know that fans wind up getting angry because of sometimes with runners on base, he doesn't come through. But the guy had something what was it, 34 or 36 dingers this year?
36, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I still think he's got more until how old is he? 30?
I think he's 30.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, there are a lot of media that wind up saying that he's not a good first baseman. And they were even putting that knock on him when he was a rookie. But all I know is every time I turn around, he's scooping the ball out of the dirt and saving an infielder's bacon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't get a chance to see the Mets nearly as often as you likely do, but I thought he's a pretty competent first baseman. I've seen him make a lot of really good plays.
Yeah. Ralph, don't you think he gets a bad on that?
He's very, very much improved over the years.
He's worked at it. He's worked at it, and he like I said, he's a solid citizen through and through. And if they don't get him, I don't think they're going to get Christian Walker. I think what you would wind up probably seeing in lieu of all that is that Mauricio's going to come back and play third, and they're going to move Vientos to first, and they'll have a really young team because Acuna is going to get a lot of work at second base. If not all work, because they still got McNeil. I don't know what they're going to do there.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you think either of you guys think McNeil has a chance of recapture? Remember, he won the batting title a couple of years ago. Can he come back to that status?
He seemed to really pull it together towards the end of the season, if I recall, that he really was beginning to make contact, that he was the Jeff McNeil that we came to know and love, okay, that he's a real contact hitter, and I think that was towards the latter part of the season. I think that he has a chance to come back, and be able to be a productive player. I won't say every day, but I think that he'll wind up getting, because he's so versatile, he'll wind up being in the lineup in different positions.
Well, they do. They shift him between second base and left field, right?
Right, and sometimes right field, but that's gone now.
I mean, look, you look at who they sign, and that's going to be an indication of what they think the potential of the up and coming players are. Okay, I mean it's that simple. If they sign, someone like Bregman, then they have to ship. It's going to tell you what they think about Beatty, who I guess is already on the trade market, and signing player. The Giants have been doing this for a while. I mean, it's important to know which minor league players are really going to make it, which of your can't miss prospects are going to miss, and I think that who they sign is an indication of who they have faith in or that they already have.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they do pick up. Yeah. I agree with that. We're gonna see where they really have stock in. I think that date is foregone. I think that like Mauricio's interest, I think that like they're still holding out hope that he's going to be a very, very productive player. But it'll be very, very interesting to see like what the signings are going to be. What going to go on there.
Imagine if you were healthy last year or this past year, what they could have achieved. But ifs and buts.
Buddy.
Yeah, ifs and buts with candy and nuts.
Look, I think it's the rotation that to me, I can't say I know enough about the bullpen to really weigh in on that. But I think the rotation is just not in great shape. And, I think that's what they need to, what's his name? Christian Scott. They brought him up and he had Tommy John. So he's gone for the year and they've got a couple more prospects. But, some of the guys they brought up, I guess Peterson was pretty good this year, but McGill was, I guess, up and down. And if Blackburn they got from, I don't know, they got him from, I think from the A's, or at least that's where he started. I mean, he was, he was hurt. I mean, I think I see parallels between the Mets starting rotation and the Mets, between the Giants and the Mets.
I just read this morning that the Mets signed a pitcher, a lefty pitcher, bullpen guy, and I can't think of his name.
From the Cardinals, right?
Yes.
I saw the article. I didn't read it, so I didn't know if it was bullpen or whatever, and I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't know either. My thought process on a daily basis when it comes to baseball really revolves around the golden age of baseball. And the three of us grew up where we could appreciate what we had in New York, homage to it constantly. When I was a kid, I was born in 1946, so I first became a fan in 51 when my grandfather took me to games. The 50s through the 60s, when I was growing up, the World Series was played in my hometown every freaking year.
Right.
I thought it was a birthright.
Yeah, right.
Did you guys?
Marvelous run.
Looking back, can you guys appreciate what we had like I do? I'm sure the two of you can, but I hope the audii who really has to like baseball, weed, or just talking life, to like my show, I just want to stress, as an old guy, an AK, if you will, it was unbelievable. The Yankees, the Dodgers, and even the Giants, 2 of those years. And when I say...
But was this good for baseball, Ralph? I mean, it's great for you. I don't mean you. It's great for somebody if you're a fan of that team. But is it good for baseball when you have teams that year after year, either sometimes because the owners refuse to spend any money, but are perennially going to be in last place or certainly not compete? Is that really good for baseball? I don't know. I think Yankee fans, and again, I used to be one of them, and only the Dodgers could make me root for the Yankees, which I was definitely rooting for the Yankees in the World Series. But, it's like there's like a sense of entitlement. And the Dodger fans certainly feel that way as well, I'm quite certain. Is that really good? I mean, your team doesn't win it for 2 years, and you're screaming, fire the entire front office.
There's a whole other thing. First of all, like I was a kid, so that was all in New York, and I didn't care because, I mean, at that time.
Right, really, if it's good for you, it's a different thing.
Right. But as a grown up, I could well see that point. But also bear in mind, there was a lot of good baseball being played in other towns because that was the golden era. Like we had people like Aaron Mays, Eddie Matthews. We had like, it just goes on. Clemente was amazing.
Ernie Banks, Kenny Boyer.
Yeah, there were a lot of really, really good players playing around out with the other teams outside of New York City. So I mean, I think that like the fact that like there was the golden era, like I mean, with some of the greatest players that we've ever seen, might have sort of like. Mitigated that like feeling that like New York corner market and everything.
Right. Well, there were also obviously, as you guys both know, far fewer teams in those days.
Right.
So there was more of an opportunity. You weren't, as some people would say, now you're filling in a lot of rosters of mediocre players. I'd like to have the number 40 guy on the Pittsburgh Pirates play on my softball team.
Yes.
But there were fewer teams, so you had more opportunity to really shine.
Well, yeah, I think that like the talent is really down now. Yes, play a lot of players.
Well, you didn't really. You had to own that opportunity. There were fewer teams, but there were much more farm teams. If you look back, like AAA teams, you could have had 3 AAA teams on St. Louis. I know the Dodgers had a lot of farm clubs. And there was no pension. So you're really comparing apples to apples when you compare the ability, and plus you have the other countries contributing. But it was the times. It was the times that you remembered as well. You remembered when it used to be that you couldn't call the Reds the Redlegs. They used to be the Redlegs because there was the communist scare at that point.
There was the Red Stockings going way, way back. But yeah. Remember that. The Cincinnati Reds. Look out. Look under your bed. Oh, jeez.
Hey, let's take a break. Are you with us, Paul?
Yeah, let's take a break, and I got a great break for you. So here we go, guys. You were just talking about it. Here it is for you. The golden age of baseball.
Now you got me on the edge of my seat.
Are we still on?
Yeah. While he's queuing that up also, we were talking about, I wanted to talk about the Bobby Bonilla thing and this, the Dodgers like making these signings with these deferred monies and, the bonuses that don't hit the competitive tax. Talk about that.
right, guys, it's time to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Yes, sir. We're back.
Can you give Dennis a little shout out?
You
for
better
me?
believe it. Here we go. Here's that break too. All right, it's the guys over at P1 Mobile Auto Service. Get them at 510-978-7064. The crew will come out and take care of you, save you. You're sitting on the side of the road, or even if you just roll right in, check out everything he does. Engines, transmissions, brakes. There's the address, there's the phone number, and the hours. That's right. It's P1 Mobile Auto Service, 510-978-7064. And don't forget to tell him Mr. Ralph sent you. That's right, Mr. Ralph. I'll remember that. All right.
He loves Mr. Ralph, and I love Dennis. He is, he used to think it was an oxymoron to say a mechanic with a heart. No longer that. If you live in the East Bay, get to know him, because when the time comes, and it will, if you're out of warranty or what have you, nice to know there's an honest guy out there that'll treat you well. So our first sponsor was Dennis, and we give him kudos every week of the year. So there it is.
Dive back
Hey,
into
guys,
the conversation with you guys.
How we doing time wise, Paulie?
All right, we're at 41:52, so almost at 42 minutes, sir.
Okay, I thought I'd do this. Take 5 minutes each to prolificate what your feelings are. So we won't make it a debate, a discussion. Tell me, Eric, first, what your feelings are about what's going on in today's world. We've had an election. We've had a Supreme Court that we can no longer depend on. We have all kinds of things that may be bugging you. Eric, you're as well-spoken a friend as I have. We've sat around and talked politics. Tell us what you think.
We like to think of this segment of the show as free-floating hostility. Okay.
All right.
So go right ahead. Steady stream of conscious. Let it go.
Where to start? You know, election day in 2016 was awful. I mean, it was just awful. Election day in 2024 was 10 times more awful, because at that point, you had people voting for this subhuman being in spite of what they saw he said he would do and in fact did. You know, there's that old line that says, when someone tells you what they're going to do, believe them. And it's just really astonishing to me how far backward this country is going. And, you know, you can come up with all kinds of reasons why Trump won again. And it could be because people are greedy and because they're racist and misogynist and all that stuff. All valid. And you could also say that, you know, some people are stupid, some people are ignorant, and you know the difference. Ignorant just means not knowing and not reading enough to care, not knowing that they think the economy is bad, but it isn't, and not really wanting to learn. But a few weeks before the election, on Facebook, I wrote this whole litany of reasons why not to vote for Trump. And I stopped getting political on Facebook, except an occasion, because what's the point? I mean, 98% of my friends on Facebook are liberal. I mean, whose mind am I changing? Certainly not going to change the 2% that aren't. But I went through this whole litany of things why to not vote for Trump. Not a single one of them had to do with a policy difference. Okay? They were all about character. And it doesn't matter. I mean, here's a man who said I could kill somebody, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue in New York, and people would still vote for me. And he's right. And when Democrats, I'm not even going to go into mistakes Democrats made and Biden, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. People were willing to vote for Trump because of him or in spite of what he is. And they were willing to do it. And when Democrats would say things like, we're better than this isn't who we are, wrong. This is who we are. We've proved it. And you've got a Republican Party, some of whom are smart enough to know that this guy is an abomination, but they vote for him anyway. You've got a Supreme Court, as you said before, that is no longer impartial. I mean, everything is partisan. This country is blanked. I mean, it is. We're going backwards. And of course, that's the way the whole world is going too. I mean, there's just a lot of that around the world. We're not the only ones. And you can't even vote. You can't even blame Trump for all this. And believe me, when I say that, there's nothing about him that I can tolerate. But what I'm saying is, the people were there. He opened the door, and they kicked the door down. And I mean, what more can you say than that? I mean, if people don't understand, I mean, look at the cabinet selections he's made. They are patently unqualified people, morally, experience-wise, just in a myriad of ways. And this is what he's going to get because you won't have any Republicans voting to turn these people down.
All millionaires and billionaires, by the way. If you take a look at it, like one by one.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I could go on forever, but why?
Yeah. Well,
hey, before we get to you, Frank, let me just interject one thought. One word: COVID. How did that fucker handle it when he was in office? Like an idiot child. And people died. A lot of people. A lot of New Yorkers died. There was plenty of guilt that went around.
Well, he sent the respirators to Putin. I mean, I don't know what the device is, but what they use for COVID.
Right.
You know about that, right?
He made it available to Putin, but not to his own people. But the thing I want to say about this, Ralph, is, and then I'll kind of step back, is he's claiming that he did a great job with COVID. We know he didn't, but the people follow him and they believe him. And that's the thing that is so scary about this guy. He's got this, you can't even call it a cult, because a cult implies kind of a small group. I mean, you've got half this country, and he says, I fixed COVID, and they believe him. So what can you do about this? These are people who aren't interested in listening. They aren't interested in reading. It's a scary, scary time.
So what can we all do about the future to make sure this doesn't happen again? I say giving kids books. Support your Head Start program in every community that you live in. They could use the books. Nothing.
I'm such a pessimist right now. It's like, give them a book so they can ban it. What are you giving it to them for? I'm sorry. But you're right. It starts with knowledge. It starts with reading. It starts with education. You're right.
And I think the only way, and I know I said I was going to shut up, and I apologize. I think the only way people will change their minds is when something happens to them. When Dick Cheney's daughter, Dick Cheney, I imagine, was pretty anti-gay, and when his daughter came out, not Liz, his other daughter, as gay, he changed his stance. And I think only when people start getting screwed by Trump's policies, that's the way you're going to change your mind. If people are, what's the word now? I hate to take, transactional. It's when it happens to them, that's when they'll open their
Hey,
mind.
my grandmother would have said about Liz Cheney's sister, she's gay and happy. What did they care? Gay? My grandmother didn't understand gay. But Frank, take us out.
Yeah. Well, what can I tell you? It's a scary time, in my opinion. Eric touched upon it. Like, it's not just this country. Fascism is spreading rapidly. It's almost as if people want to be told what to do, to be led by the nose, and not basically really respect freedoms that are available to them. That they want to be dominated, and told what to do, and told when to wipe their butt, and how. And that's really scaring me just in general, as far as the global nature. As far as Trump goes, he controls the House, controls the Senate, controls the courts. Of course, he being in the White House, the executive branch, and it's just a very scary situation to me. I can't imagine, it's scary what's going to wind up happening. The cabinet that is picking that Eric, touched upon. I mean, the guys that are not qualified, that don't know anything about the department that they're going to be representing, and they were all millionaires. And what is the hope that we're going to have that people of this persuasion are going to be able to be in touch with the middle class and what the middle class interests and needs are? It's just absolutely mind-boggling, very, very scary. And the thing about it is the Republicans have been very successful in being able to basically bring about the authoritarian state that's coming. Okay, they worked hard. Any time that the budget cuts would get cut, the seniors and education. Okay, we used to be number one in education. It doesn't seem all that long ago, but now about as mediocre as we wind up getting. Okay, the dumbing down of America as a result of this. Okay, and that is part of the point that we wind up facing when it comes to elections. Okay, you got people that are ignorant or downright stupid, or a combination thereof. Okay, and like Eric said, I can't even remember the last time I wound up making arguments or points with a person that was a Republican or a MAGA, and they wound up saying, "You know something? You're right. What the hell was I doing?" Okay, it's just sort of pissing into the wind. Okay, and it's really, really a scary time for me. And in my senior years, I was hoping that it would be a lot different than this, but we got what we got.
Well, the dream of the '60s is gone.
No, that's shot. Oh,
I mean, it's gone. And Ralph knows I'm a big Jackson Brown fan, and this song came out in the '70s. It's called "The Fuse," and there's a line in that song that says, "Oh Lord, are there really people starving still?" Right? And that was 50 years ago.
50 years.
And everything else that you want to touch on it, 50 years later, civil rights. I mean, good God, what is it? Men are running around saying, "Your body, my decision." I mean,
yeah.
Eric,
how do you process this? How do you process
You
this?
open the gate. You love Jackson Brown. I love Mose Allison. Mose Allison said around the same time, I remember in the 50s, he said in the lyrics, "I don't worry about a thing because I know nothing's going to turn out right." That's what was happening.
Yeah.
So these guys looked in the future, um, as we do now. We who are aware now, but so few people care about the future proportionally.
Yeah.
That I think that's where we've lost hope as a society.
Well,
For good
where I
reason.
wound up losing hope, I don't mean to interrupt you, bro, but like where I wound up losing hope is I honestly believe that like we're never, ever going to have a woman friend. That's how much hope that I wound up losing, let alone a woman of color. You know, that I think was also another factor that like is almost understated in relation to everything
Or
else.
two, like us, and or when I say us, I think you're an honorary Jew, Frank, because you got a brain. And it's working along the same lines as any Jew I know. So my point is that Bernie would have been an infinitely better candidate than Hillary way back then, and the DNC screwed us. We registered Democrats at the time. They alleviated our wants and wills by fixing it, so you're right. The prejudice runs rampant in this country. I did not realize that there would be a chance in hell that he'd lose the election. 34 criminal
It's endless. The counts.
counts, shootouts, convicted, and all those domestic cases that millions of dollars. Let me grab a woman by this or that. I mean, how could
Preponderance
vote?
of
Right, a preponderance.
You don't have so many charges without some of them being, true. I mean, it's just you can't rack up that many charges and none of them be true, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
something's got to stick. But so far, he's more of a Teflon Don than John Gotti was. I mean, really. I mean,
well,
Yeah, but
Reagan was
he's
the
got
Reagan
much-
was the
he's
Teflon
got
president,
his-
right?
He's got his finger on the nukes. John Gotti only had his fingers on his small area of power by comparison.
If you sit and think about all the reasons that people shouldn't have voted for him, if you're a woman, if you're a person of color, if you're gay, if you're from another country, you could think of a gazillion reasons why none of people from any of these groups, which pretty much leaves white, religious, Christian males.
right.
It just amazes me that he won. I mean, I didn't really have a sense one way or another. I mean, not that my sense makes any sense, but it's not like I thought going into election night which one of them was going to win. I didn't have any clear belief, I guess is a better word. But I know the next day, and when I started to think about like J.D. Vance and some of the people that he was going to appoint, it suddenly really hit me that I didn't think he was going to win because I didn't really pay much attention to what the actual consequences were going to be. And now they're slapping us in the face every single day. He's giving a big FU to America by the appointments he's choosing because nobody in their right mind can think that almost any of them are qualified.
Yeah.
How about the press that goes along with this bullshit? The Washington Post, the New York frickin' Times. Give me a break.
Well, that's where we went wrong there, boyfriend, because like we wound up like allowing these corporations to like buy up the newspapers and other media, and now Well, we got a corporate media that kisses rough and has been doing so on an ongoing basis, and like it's like crazy. It's a whole lot different than it used to be. Like you were saying, Eric, back in the '60s, compared to media and like the way they operated versus like what it's like today. It's disgusting.
Let me ask you a question, and I'll go first. Where are the checks and balances going to come from? They have to come. Either that, or one is a total pessimist. That they're going to come from somewhere. I suggest we put all bucks. I put $50 in, and for me, that's doing something to the ACLU.
That's going to be the only thing they can do. File one lawsuit after another to basically tie up their policy. I don't know.
Right, exactly. By definition, they have the law on their, the attorneys to do it. So I'm going to rely on them for my hope. But I'm just hoping that McDonald's never runs out of mocha frappes. That's my only hope. And
was that what you were sucking on before?
Yeah, that
all right.
is.
Now this comes together. I was like wondering what it was that he was sucking on earlier.
Right. Well,
yeah, because Ralph, you would have to get your chocolate. Ralph, you would have to get your chocolate flavored lard from somewhere else then.
Right. That, but that would be nowhere near as convenient. Let me tell you.
But you'll figure it out, Ralph. I know.
I will figure it out because, or I'll spend much more time thinking about it than need be. One or the other, or both. Eventually, I'll figure it out. But it should be. I have bigger fish to fry.
Someone on MSNBC last night was talking about, unless the Democratic Party changes dramatically, there won't be a party anymore. And you know what? That's what they said about the Republican Party 4 years ago, that, it's coming to an end. And,
That's what they said 2 months ago about the
exactly. So
everybody,
the Democrats just have to. I hate to say it, but you have to wait out. I mean, I know they have to build at the local levels, which the Republicans have been very good at. But the Democrats are just going to have to wait until 2026, when hopefully enough people have been screwed by enough Republican policies that they're going to overwhelmingly bring the House and the Senate back to the Democrats and block anything he does. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't have a lot of faith in America anymore. But
well, it didn't happen in 2024. I mean, 2016. That was his first. I don't know. I like they said, I share that. I've lost hope in America.
Yeah, I wish Biden had made better decisions about Afghanistan and getting out of Afghanistan. It just shocked the hell out of me at the time. I could not believe that he made some sort of deal with the Taliban that was just not in the best interest. And that whole regime of Obama and Hillary and Biden and their record about war and keeping that going. And there are people who said, Trump didn't have a war in his time. So
that's not why they lost. They lost because of people's perceptions of the economy, at least from the things I've read. I'm not going to make believe I'm some knowledgeable pundit, because I'm not. But from everything that you hear, people just thought the economy was bad. And this goes back you know, like what we were talking about before, the difference between being stupid and being ignorant. You know, if you don't see that almost every marker financially is better, well, then you just don't want to see it. And I don't think getting out of Afghanistan, you know, it changed anybody's mind. I don't, you know, I just think you had, oh, God, this is just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. I'm so depressed about this. 6 weeks later, I've been writing this poem now since the election, and I don't know if I'll ever finish it. But it's just really, it's mind blowing. I just can't.
And the MAGA people wound up watching onto the October Department of Labor report about the jobs being added, like really went down and stuff like that. You know, they jumped all over that shit. You know.
Yeah, and Frank, you don't know this, but I spent my whole career working for the Department of Labor.
Right. Yeah, I did early on in my career, because Would you in what capacity?
Employment training, job training for disability. You ever hear of Job Corps?
Yeah, sure.
I oversaw Job Corps programs for 30 years.
Oh, okay. All right. I was with the unemployment insurance division for years. Yeah. That doesn't mean I was unemployed. I was employed by the unemployed.
Well, I never wanted a job in life, and was vastly underinsured for that. I knew how to work that system only well enough to not benefit from it. But then again, I found success, if you will, in podcasting, and I could not have done it without, well, I did podcasting for 12 years before I decided to become a video podcaster, so I could get my guests on and see the expressions on their faces. And I really enjoyed having you guys, and it's like you're in the living room with me. So
I enjoy being here too. I feel like I made a new friend.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, and that didn't come without thought. Getting you guys together.
Well, thank you.
And
thank
who
you.
said Ralph hasn't had an original thought in years?
It's good to meet you too, Frank. Ralph, it's always a pleasure to do this with you. Thank Paul. It's good to see you again.
Thank you for your good work, Paul.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate you. And you know, I think it's kind of a weird thing that we're going through in this country. I think we're all kind of disenfranchised at different times. It seems like we have a radical president when we want times of change, and then we go conservative or something. And I think you're right, Eric. There's a lot of play into the whole how finances and how the
Hey, these are
the economic
uncharted waters.
came into it.
He's
But
not just a conservative; he's a Nazi. Let's face it.
well, no, and I agree. He's beyond the fringe. to say
Right.
the least, he's beyond the fringe.
That's actually a euphemism.
So what I really think the key thing is for people to keep speaking their mind. We live in a free society. We have freedom of speech, and just keep doing that. I keep rocking the boat every day. It could be on a stage telling, doing stand up, or it could be in a line at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. I'm always expressing myself in creative ways. So that's why I like being here with you three gentlemen. Thank you very much for making my morning and into my afternoon. So thank you for being a part of it. And happy holidays to you guys. However that is,
Yes,
it usually means somebody's getting free time off somewhere. So no matter how you celebrate your holidays, celebrate them. Have fun. Kiss the ones you love, and if you don't know anybody, kiss a stranger. Just don't get locked up.
Who knows? You might get lucky.
Yeah, you might get lucky. You could just say there was mistletoe. So there you go.
There's my alibi. All right, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice.
All right, Ralph, sign us off like only you can, buddy.
Pardon me?
I said sign us off like only you can.
If only I can.
Yeah.
It depends how you pronounce it. If only you can. If only you can. I do what I can. I do the best that I can, and I live with the results. And quote one of my goombas in life and a mentor, David Dove Hirsch, who is now living in Nelson, British Columbia. And he said that, and it really, years ago, and it changed. There's only so much one can do, and then you did the best you can. You throw up your hands. That doesn't mean that you're giving up or you didn't try, but there's only one is limited by a number of things.
Yeah.
Early on damage, education, too much, too little, friends, family, loved ones. That could all be limiting, or it can all be incredibly great. So you just got to roll with it and go do your thing, everybody. And thanks for listening. Subscribe, buy my book. It's around the holidays. Can you throw up a picture of that?
Just did it.
You're the best. Because it's like radio today. I haven't been able to, because of the light, I don't see anybody. And I look forward to playing it back. So thank you very much. Everybody, I want you to have a happy holiday. Jerry Feidelberg is struggling like hell, but he seems to have a shot at recovery. It's been a horrible year for him. In and out of hospitals, treatments, not being able to drive. We wish him the best. I don't have to say any more than I've said or thought about Marty Roseberg every day for my lifetime. But specifically, he is in the final stages of his journey. ALS is a motherfucker. And he knows that it was brought on by Agent Orange, something that when I encouraged him to go into the Air Force because it was working for me and I was beating the draft, we had never heard the expression.
I've lost friends to Agent Orange. I've lost to 3 people from the Army, all Army.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that it basically amounts to the government being lied to us, let down by the government. Talk of reducing Social Security. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine taking food stamps away from those who can't get through a month because of their limited pension and their age combined? Imagine what that would do for this country. That's why we need checks and balances to make sure that doesn't happen. All I was able to think of, and I was reminded of by Ann Fusco, my Facebook friend, who posted something on the ACLU. And when in my days of needing gig work, I would do telephone work for liberal charities like the ACLU and NARAL, who would, I haven't talked to anyone from them in 20 years, they'd be appalled at giving back Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade. Incredible. I almost couldn't say it. It was almost predestined that I didn't get the words out. So it's been great having guys on that move on today.
Thank you for the privilege.
So I'll let you go, Paulie. Unless you have anything to say to close us out.
Nope, I think that's it. I just want to say happy holidays. You guys enjoy. For myself, Zig, Eric, and Frank, we're gone. We'll see you next week. It will be the day before. It will be Christmas Eve. So we'll be probably doing a remote, but we'll be doing it. All right, guys? So for myself, the rest of the crew.
Is Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
No.
that is correct. So we'll probably be doing a pre-record and then releasing it. But it will be like we're doing it live in studio. You guys enjoy your holidays. We'll see you next time here in the zone.